and the guy dove into Asar's legs, and there was a no call. That's an abomination. You cannot miss that in an NBA game, period. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of our guys asking me, what more can we do, coach? That situation is exhibit A to what we've been dealing with all season long, and enough's enough. You cannot dive into a guy's legs in a big-time game like that and there be a no.
Monty Williams just did something nobody saw coming. The respected coach, known for keeping his cool under pressure, absolutely unloaded on LeBron James in a moment that's now spreading like wildfire across social media. We're talking about footage that's so controversial, so unexpected, that fans are split right down the middle. Some are calling Monty a hero for finally saying what needed to be said. Others think he just ended his career with one explosive rant. But here's the thing, what you saw in that viral clip, that's not even the full story. What really went down behind the scenes is way more shocking than anyone realizes. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this moment might change everything we thought we knew about LeBron's influence in the league.
Here, and I have Monty Williams here with the New Orleans Pelicans, and we want to talk a little bit about coaching. Are you a part method or a whole method kind of coach when you institute your system of offense?
I'm actually both. We teach whole, part whole. We show them everything, and then we break it down, and then we bring it back together again, and we do that all season long. We never get away from the part concept, just because the NBA is so detailed, and we're teaching young guys how to play. You got to teach them the details.
Let's rewind for a second, because to really understand why this explosion happened, you need to know who Monty Williams actually is. This isn't some hot-headed rookie coach trying to make a name for himself. Monty Williams is one of the most respected figures in basketball, a former player who transitioned into coaching with grace, wisdom, and a reputation for being the ultimate player's coach. He's the guy who won Coach of the Year, the guy who gave that heartbreaking, inspiring speech after his wife's tragic passing that made grown men cry, the guy who every player in the league respects. Monty doesn't do drama. He doesn't chase headlines. He's always been about building culture, developing young talent, and leading with integrity. When he speaks, people listen. When he gets emotional, it means something. So when footage surfaced in late January 2025 of Monty absolutely losing it on LeBron James, the basketball world stopped in its tracks. Because if Monty Williams is this angry, this publicly frustrated with the biggest name in basketball, something serious went down. But before we get to that explosive moment, you need to understand the pressure cooker Monty's been operating in. Coaching in today's NBA isn't what it used to be. It's not just about X's and O's anymore. It's about managing egos, navigating player empowerment, and somehow maintaining authority when your star player has more social media followers than your entire franchise has fans. And lately, Monty's been dealing with something that's been eating at him, something that's been building beneath the surface, something involving the most powerful player in the sport. The tensions started small, subtle things that most people wouldn't even notice. But if you've been paying attention, the signs were there.
It's just been an unreal ride, right? And we got to go back to the hotel and see what happens. But I want you guys to know this before that happens. Like, this was therapeutic for me to be around a group like this. I got to tell you guys, man, I love you. I do. I don't care what happens tonight. I know what I got in this room. And it has been cool for me.
January 2025, a practice facility, security cameras rolling, and then it happened. The footage that's now been viewed millions of times shows Monty Williams in the middle of what appears to be a heated team practice. But this isn't your typical coaching moment. This is Monty, jaw clenched, finger pointing, voice raised to levels nobody's ever heard from him before, absolutely tearing into someone off camera. And according to multiple sources who were there, that someone was LeBron James. "You don't get to undermine what we're building here," Monty's voice echoes through the gym. I don't care about your resume. I don't care about your legacy. When you're in this building, you respect the process, you respect your teammates, and you damn sure respect the coaching staff. The video cuts off there, but the damage was done. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Twitter exploded. Instagram went crazy. Sports debate shows cleared their entire segments to discuss it. The comments section became a war zone. Team Monty came out swinging. Finally, someone has the guts to check LeBron. This is what real leadership looks like. Monty just said what every coach in the league has been thinking. But Team LeBron fired back just as hard. Monty's career's over. You don't disrespect the GOAT like that. LeBron made coaches rich, and this is how they treat him? The sports media machine went into overdrive. Analysts dissected every frame of the video. Body language experts weighed in. Former players took sides. And through it all, one question dominated every conversation. What the hell happened to make Monty Williams snap like this? Because here's what made this so shocking. This wasn't leaked by some gossip account. This wasn't TMZ getting their hands on private footage. This came from inside the organization. Someone wanted this out there. Someone wanted the world to see Monty going off. And that's when people started asking the real questions. What had LeBron been doing behind the scenes? How bad had things gotten? And why was Monty, the most patient, composed coach in the NBA, finally at his breaking point? The answers, as it turns out, are way more complicated than anyone expected.
What happened to Draymond Green? Did you all see what? Look, clearly the play-by-play crew was not going to touch that. On my Twitter account, I didn't get a chance to post it on my Threads account yet. I posted a clip from, I'm guessing a fan recorded and uploaded this, of an altercation that occurred between Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. This happened in a timeout.
Here's what the viral clip doesn't show you. Here's what wasn't in that 23-second video that broke the internet. The full story. According to sources close to the situation, this wasn't about one incident. This was the culmination of weeks of mounting frustration. It started with small things. LeBron showing up late to film sessions. LeBron questioning play calls in front of younger players. LeBron having private conversations with teammates about strategy that directly contradicted what Monty was teaching. Now look, LeBron James is LeBron James. He's got one of the highest basketball IQs in history. He's been to 10 finals. He's seen it all. So when he has input on how the team should operate, you listen. Every coach knows that. Monty knew that. But there's a way to do it. There's a chain of command. There's a respect for the process. And that respect, it was starting to erode. The breaking point came during a team meeting in mid-January. The squad had just dropped 3 straight games. Morale was low, chemistry was off, and Monty called everyone together to address it head-on. He laid out adjustments, he talked about accountability, he emphasized that everyone needed to buy in. And then LeBron spoke up. According to people in that room, LeBron essentially presented an alternative game plan in front of the entire team, undermining what Monty had just outlined. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't disrespectful in tone, but the message was clear. Your way isn't working. Here's what we should actually be doing. The room went silent. Assistant coaches exchanged glances. Younger players didn't know where to look. And Monty? Monty stayed calm in that moment. He nodded. He said they'd discuss it further. He kept his composure. But inside, he was done. Because this wasn't just about basketball. This was about authority. This was about whether a coach can actually coach when a player has more power than the entire front office combined. This was about a pattern that's been growing in the NBA for years. Superstars dictating terms, controlling narratives, and leaving coaches in impossible positions. And Monty Williams, who had spent his entire career building relationships with players, who had always believed in collaboration over confrontation, finally hit his limit. The footage from practice the next day, that was the explosion everyone saw.
But what they didn't see was the 2-hour conversation that happened afterward, the closed-door meeting where Monty and LeBron supposedly cleared the air, the carefully worded statement from the organization about internal matters being resolved. But here's the thing nobody's saying out loud. It's not resolved. Not even close. The aftermath of that viral video has been nothing short of chaotic. Within 48 hours, every major sports outlet had covered it. Analysts were debating it on live television. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to breaking it down. And the opinions, they were all over the map. Some former coaches came to Monty's defense immediately. One retired head coach, speaking anonymously, told reporters, "Every coach in this league has wanted to say what Monty said. He's not wrong. The power dynamic has shifted so far toward players that coaching has become impossible. You can't build a system when your best player thinks he's smarter than the system." But former players saw it differently. One ex-All-Star posted on social media, "Coaches need to understand that today's stars didn't grow up in the era of shut up and listen. They grew up studying film, understanding analytics, and having opinions. If you can't handle player input, you're in the wrong era." The debate exposed a massive generational and philosophical divide in basketball. Old-school traditionalists versus new-school player empowerment advocates. And Monty Williams, the coach everyone loved, suddenly found himself at the center of the most controversial conversation in sports. But what about LeBron? How did the King respond? Publicly, silence. Complete radio silence. No tweets, no Instagram posts, no cryptic quotes, nothing. And if you know LeBron, you know that's unusual. The guy who usually has something to say about everything suddenly went dark on this topic. But privately, according to league sources, LeBron wasn't happy. Not with the video leaking, not with how it made him look, and definitely not with the narrative that was forming, that he's impossible to coach, that he undermines authority, that his presence destabilizes teams. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't the first time questions like this have followed LeBron. Remember the David Blatt situation? Remember the whispers about Ty Lue? Remember the constant speculation about whether coaches are actually coaching or just managing LeBron's preferences? This footage gave ammunition to everyone who's ever questioned whether LeBron makes coaches better or just makes them irrelevant. In the league is watching this very carefully. Because if a respected coach like Monty Williams is publicly clashing with a legend like LeBron James, what does that mean for every other coach dealing with empowered superstars? What precedent does this set? How do franchises navigate this moving forward? The organization tried to do damage control, generic statements about resolving differences and moving forward as a team, but nobody's buying it. The fans aren't buying it, the media isn't buying it, and based on the body language in recent games, the players aren't buying it either. Something broke that day in practice, and it's not getting fixed with a press release.
So let's talk about what this is really about. Because this isn't just Monty versus LeBron. This isn't just one coach and one player having a bad day. This is about a fundamental shift in how the NBA operates, and nobody wants to say it out loud. The NBA has entered an era where players have unprecedented power. They demand trades. They fire coaches by making their positions untenable. They control narratives through social media. They build super teams by recruiting other stars. And in many ways, this has been great for the players. They deserve agency. They deserve to have a say in their careers. But there's a cost, and that cost is coaching authority. Think about it. When a superstar can get a coach fired with a few conversations with the front office, what real power does that coach have? When a player's social media following dwarfs the franchise's entire fan engagement, who's really in control of the narrative? When a star's opinion on roster construction matters more than the GM's, what's the actual hierarchy? Monty Williams isn't wrong for being frustrated. He's also not wrong for how he expressed it, even if the timing and setting weren't ideal. Because at some point, someone has to ask, can you actually build a championship culture when your best player thinks he knows better than everyone else?
And look, LeBron's won championships. He's proven his basketball IQ. He's earned the right to have opinions. But there's a difference between having input and having control. There's a difference between collaboration and domination. What happened in that practice facility was a coach trying to reclaim his authority, trying to establish boundaries, trying to say, I respect your greatness, but this is still my team to coach. And the fact that it resulted in a viral blow-up tells you everything about how fragile that authority has become. Here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to answer. Would this have happened 20 years ago? Would a player, even a superstar, have been able to undermine a coach the way this situation played out? Or would there have been a clear understanding that the coach's word is final, regardless of who's on the roster? The league has changed, and maybe that change is good. Maybe players should have more power. Maybe the old authoritarian coaching model needed to die. But we're living through the messy transition period where nobody knows exactly where the line is, and Monty Williams just found out where his line was. But here's where this gets even more interesting. This story isn't over, not by a long shot, because how this situation resolves will set the tone for player-coach relationships across the entire league moving forward. If Monty gets pushed out, it sends a message: don't challenge superstars, no matter what. If LeBron faces consequences, public or private, it sends a different message: respect the structure, even if you're a legend. Right now, we're in limbo. The footage is out there, the takes are flying, the sides are chosen, but the real outcome, that's still being decided behind closed doors. What we do know is this: something fundamental shifted when that video leaked. The unspoken rules of coach-player dynamics got exposed, the power imbalance got put on display, and basketball fans got a rare, unfiltered look at the tension that exists in every NBA locker room where superstar egos meet coaching authority. Monty Williams went off on LeBron James because he had to, because staying silent would have meant surrendering completely, because even the most patient man has a breaking point, and because sometimes the only way to demand respect is to risk everything and speak your truth. Whether that truth ends his coaching career or defines his legacy, time will tell. So here's what I want to know from you. Was Monty Williams right to call out LeBron like that, or did he cross a line that no coach should cross with a player of LeBron's stature? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Team Monty or Team LeBron? Because this debate is far from over, and I want to hear where you stand. Look, this situation is messy. There's no clear good guy or bad guy here. Monty Williams isn't a villain for wanting to coach his team. LeBron James isn't a villain for having opinions after 2 decades of excellence. But what is clear is that this moment exposed something the NBA has been avoiding for years: the uncomfortable reality of who really runs the show. And if you want to stay updated on how this story develops, because trust me, there's more coming, make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications on. We're going to be covering every twist, every update, and every behind-the-scenes detail as this situation unfolds, because when a coach like Monty Williams risks everything to make a stand against a player like LeBron James, you know there's more to this story than what we're seeing right now. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with your take, and let's keep this conversation going, because in 2025, the NBA just got a whole lot more interesting.